Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I can't believe you're back. Look, if you're here now, you are either interested in learning the truth or interested in arguing with the truth. But either way, thank you for being engaged. That's all I really care about. So we're going to talk a little bit about the constitutionality of Trump's ordered airstrike on General Soleimani. We're going to get to that in just a minute. You hang on.
You heard a while, but that's just what people do. The theory is you always find somebody new. I guess there was a time I believe that was true, but now...
So, yeah, the question here is not a political question. I'm not trying to get into the politics of whether Trump made the right decision or not, or whether the U.S. military handled it correctly or not. That's not what this is about. This is strictly about the constitutionality of the airstrike, whether it is or is not legal for a president, Trump or Obama or anybody, to call in an airstrike on a adversary general, so to say. Is that legal? Is that okay? So please don't get into this, well, Trump's my guy, so he's the guy that, he did the right thing no matter what, or Trump's the worst guy in the world, I hate Orange Cheeto Head, and he's, did everything wrong no matter what. That's not what this is about. We're not here for that. So if you're going to do that, take it somewhere else, really, because it won't be heard here. So what I want here is an actual discussion on the constitutionality. See, where this boils down to is a lot of people have, fifth grade interpretations of the Constitution. Yeah, I don't mean to embarrass you. It's probably not you. If you're on this channel and you're watching right now, it's not you. But you do know, I hope, that most people who, they think they know the Constitution because they learned it in high school or because they've watched politicians talking about it, they think they understand it. So when they hear monikers like Commander-in-Chief, they presume that to mean something entirely different, much greater than what it does. If you're confused on what the job of the president is in terms of Commander-in-Chief, you should probably start reading the Constitution and the Federalist Papers. It pretty much lays it out. So if you're here under the interpretation that the president is the king of the military, you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. That's not what he does. He is nothing more than a field general who responds to and reacts to the wishes of Congress. Congress runs our military. I know, that's not what you want to hear, and you're mad at me now. That's cool because, hey, this is the Butthurt channel. All the people who watch this get butthurt at some point or another. But the fact is that the responsibility of governing our military is actually congressional, not presidential. So in this case, do you have an argument for him being, for him having the power to effectively start a war? Well, it's a complicated answer. Of course it is. I don't give you easy answers because there are no easy answers. Everything is complicated. Everything is multifold. The universe does not fit into your little envelope. It doesn't. So how do we get there? How do we get from, the Constitution says that Congress has that authority to, well, how can the president do it? Well, there are some that argue that the Congress basically gave that power to the president through, years and years of legislation. They've basically said, you know what, we don't want that power. We want the governor or the president, in this case, to have it. Well, here's the problem. Congress does not have the authority to give their authority and responsibility to someone else. That's not one of their authorities. They don't, look, okay, how about this? Imagine if you own a business and you hire a manager and you tell that manager, this is what I want done, this is how I want it done. And the manager goes and he says, you know what, I'm going to have my new guy come in and take all of my responsibilities for me. So he tells the new guy, hey, here's what the owner said that they want, and here's what, how they want it done. And then the new guy does it wrong. So the owner goes back to the manager and says, hey, what happened? Everything went wrong. He's like, oh, I don't know. I gave that responsibility to someone else. Would you fire that manager? Of course you would. Of course you would, because he can't just give his managerial responsibilities over to someone else. And that's what's happened in Congress as far as people are concerned. The Congress evidently seems to think that they can just say, oh, it's not our problem, we handed it off to the president. No, it's still your problem. You are responsible for the military, and nothing in the Constitution gives you the authority to take that away from yourself and hand it to someone else. That's not how that works. So getting into the actual topic, I know I've drawn this out for so long, right? But there are things you just have to know and you probably don't like. The point is, if we get into this, we start looking at this from, okay, one of the jobs of the president in terms of commander-in-chief is defensive. And the reason for that, going back to, when all this was built, was that, well, let's say there's an invasion while Congress is not in session, or Congress is not quick enough to deal with a clear and present imminent threat, okay? In that case, the president does have the authority to activate troops. He does. So if the president sees, good enough information that says, okay, if I don't do something right now, we're gonna get hurt. We're gonna get hurt bad, and I don't have time to take it to Congress. In that case, the president has the authority to do something like what Trump did, okay? But there's a caveat to that. Once it's done, the president has to go to Congress and explain to them why he took that action. And according to the Constitution, if Congress says, well, that wasn't reasonable, that didn't make sense, you shouldn't have acted, guess what? It was an impeachable offense. So the question of whether what Trump did or not was lawful will really come down to what Congress thinks of it afterwards. So if the president goes to Congress with this intelligence that he has, that said that, had he not killed that man right then and there, then he would have struck the U.S. and there would have been casualties. If he cannot prove that, or at least show a reasonable case for that, then the president should and ought to be impeached. Ooh, I hit my camera. Right, so think about that for a minute. If the president, think of it from a police officer. Let's say a police officer, pulls you over and arrests you and takes you to jail and then tells the judge, hey, look, I had reason to believe that he was going to do something bad in a few minutes. What would the judge say? What would the court say? Well, what was it he was going to do bad? And then he'd say, oh, well, he was going to kill some people. I know he was. Well, how do you know? Well, I can't tell you. Okay, well, guess what? It doesn't stick. And you're in trouble because you arrested him without a warrant. And that's effectively what has to happen here. So like, if you defend yourself, if somebody, is about to attack you and they pull a gun out and they point it at you and you pull your gun out and you shoot them first, you still have to go to court. You still have to prove that you defended yourself. You can't just say, hey, I felt like I was in danger, so I took action without anybody's permission, without any warrant or anything like that, because I knew my life was in danger. You can't just do that and walk away. You still have to answer for that action. Same thing applies to the president. He can't just shoot down people and kill people and say, well, I thought we were in danger and I don't need to answer to you. Well, that's not how it works. He does have to answer to us. So in the end, the answer to the question of was it constitutional or not is still lingering in the air because it depends on what Congress says. So when a president decides to act, he needs to be considering how friendly the Congress is to him and how much evidence he has and how important it is to him. If he wants to get impeached believing wholeheartedly that he saved us all, that's a risk he takes. So, hey, bye-bye to the rest of you who have bailed out now because the truth sucks. It doesn't really stick to your narrative, does it? Yeah, I didn't think so. So anyway, thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate you coming to my channel. Come back next time and I'll piss off even more. See ya!
You heard a while, but that's just what people do. The theory is you always find somebody new.